Trump says he'll meet with China's Xi amid intensifying trade fight. CNN announced Monday that he'll meet face-to-face with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the G20 summit late next month amid the latest escalation in trade tensions between the two countries. Trump predicted that his meeting with Xi will likely be very fruitful, and said he believes China wants to reach a deal, even as he vented about China reneging earlier this month on key portions of the deal being negotiated between the two economic powers. "We had a deal with China, it was 95% there and then my representatives. They went to China and they were told that things that were fully agreed to, we're not going to get any more. That's not acceptable," Trump told reporters in the Oval Office on Monday. "I said, that's good, that's fine, put on the tariff. I love the position we're in," Trump said. Earlier Monday, China announced tariffs on billion in U.S. exports in retaliation for Trump's move last week to hike existing tariffs imposed last year on Chinese goods and to start the process of adding duties to almost everything else China sends to the United States. Those attempts to con markets failed, with stocks falling sharply Monday after the mutual escalation for the U.S. tariff increase. While the tariffs are aimed at delivering economic pain to China, United States businesses and consumers will bear the immediate financial cost of the tariff increase. There will be nobody left in China to do business with. Very bad for China, very good for USA. But China has taken so advantage of the U.S. for so many years, that they are way ahead. Our president did not do the job, he wrote in one tweet. Therefore, China should not retaliate, will only get worse. From 10% to 25% on billion in Chinese exports last week, while Chinese negotiators were still in Washington, and then proceeded to initiate steps late Friday, after negotiations broke down, to expand tariffs to cover almost everything else China sells to the U.S. That list would include consumer goods like smartphones and toys that were left out of earlier tariff rounds, creating a heightened risk of political blowback for Trump. Even the president's chief economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, has conceded that consumers will likely bear the costs of the fresh tariffs. "Yes, I don't disagree with that," Kudlow said in an interview on Sunday with Fox News, though he insisted that China will suffer GDP losses as a result of a diminished export market and shifting United States investments. Both sides will pay. In a report to investors this week, Goldman Sachs said, the cost of United States tariffs have fallen entirely on United States businesses and households, and warned that United States GDP would take a hit if the trade war continues to escalate. Still, Trump on Monday said he is considering imposing tariffs on another billion of Chinese imports. Those who think the United States has leverage do not fully understand China. China thinks long-term, said Max Baucus, a former senator from Montana and U.S. ambassador to China under President Barack Obama. To some degree, China feels, well, these tariffs will kick in and hurt the American people pretty soon. America is a democracy and their government is going to be forced to respond, whereas all of us over in China, we're not a democracy and we can just do what we think we want to do. Trump announced in December that he had made a deal with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at a dinner in Buenos Aires, but talks hit a wall last week after China, according to U.S. officials, reneged on key components of the emerging agreement between the two sides. The breakdown punctured several weeks of steadily rising optimism that the two sides were nearing a final agreement. The US top negotiators in trade talks with China Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and United States Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, heightened met with China's Vice Premier Liu He on Friday, but the talks did little to bring the two sides closer. Instead, officials on both sides signaled that differences between the two sides would ultimately need to be resolved in direct talks between Trump and Xi. Trump will meet with Xi at the G20 Economic Summit in Japan next month. Trump, who has often touted his personal relationships with foreign leaders as a way to reach otherwise unlikely deals, addressed Xi directly in one of a series of Monday morning tweets about the trade impasse with China. I say openly to President Xi and all of my many friends in China that China will be hurt very badly if you don't make a deal, because companies will be forced to leave China for other countries. Trump tweeted. You had a great deal, almost completed, and you backed out. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.